Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How is everybody today?
Tonight's episode is going to be kind of a fun one because we're going to be talking about Slenderman tonight. We're going to be going over an article that was published on January 21st, 2020, and it's about a brand new Slenderman sighting. It's from BloodyDisgusting.com, and the title is A Couple Allegedly Spotted a Tall, Slender Man-like Being in Chicago. It was written by Samantha Schorsch, it looks like. Schorsch. So I reckon that's Schorsch or something. A man and woman in Chicago, Illinois have reported seeing a large, slender creature in the Schiller Park woods in late December of 2019. They claim this being was seen during an attempted spiritual ritual, and though they had smoked pot earlier, they were completely clear-headed during the incident in question. They were almost complete with the ritual when they both said she heard a very high-pitched sound that came out of nowhere. When she looked up, she saw the being attempting to hide behind a row of trees about 15 yards from them. The being she described as being between 7 and 8 feet tall and appeared extremely thin and looked like he was wearing a gray jumpsuit. She said that the being's arms were very long and hung to just above his knees and looked like they had claws. I asked her to please describe this, and she said they were long and just looked like they were tipped with claws or what looked like claws. She went further in describing the being as being smooth-headed, no indication of hair, and with eyes that were insect-like, only jet black, and took up most of its face. The woman went on to state that there had been an unusual absence of wildlife leading up to, during, and after the sighting, which is rare for a park normally teeming with deer, squirrels, raccoons, and the like. Furthermore, when the creature finally vanished into the tree line, they both stated that they felt a strong, overwhelming sense of fear and urge to leave. As of January 3rd, the couple has not been back. This must, of course, be taken with a grain of salt, because even though you may not think you're high enough to have it alter your perceptions of the world around you, pot is a mind-altering substance, and could very well do so even in a subtle manner, especially when you're engaging in activities that prime you to expect the supernatural. Then again, you never know. And that's the end of the article. So there's several things to unwrap here. First of all, she's saying that they were there to do some sort of ritual. Now, I'd like to know what kind of ritual that would be. Most likely, if it's some sort of ritual, you're talking some sort of magic, some sort of satanic, or something like that. So that's the first part. The second part is it says that they were smoking weed. Now, I don't particularly agree with the assertion that the author of this article makes that somehow marijuana is going to alter your mind to the point where you see things that aren't there. I highly doubt that that is the case. I don't smoke weed myself, so I can't tell you for sure that that's not a true statement. But it doesn't sound right to me. I know a lot of people that have smoked weed, a lot. And they have never told me, dude, I was so high last night, I saw Slenderman. They've never told me they saw anything that wasn't there. So I doubt that that could be the reason that they saw something. So I'm going to eliminate that from my thinking on the subject because I don't believe that that could have made them see something that they did not see. Now, that being said, it could have made them a little more paranoid, and maybe they heard a sound and thought something was out there. And they saw a flash of something or a shadow of something, and they made it up into this thing that they didn't see. So it could have made them paranoid and freaked out, and they imagined that they saw something they didn't see. That is possible. But once again, I don't think it's likely because there's too many details here. They say the thing is 7 to 8 feet tall. They say it looks like he's wearing a gray sweatsuit. They say that he's bald and that he has black eyes that take up most of his face. So to me, that doesn't sound like you caught a glimpse of something as it passed you think you might have saw. That is something you saw. There's details there. So the smoking of the weed, I don't think has anything to do with this. The ritual part, it says that it was an attempted spiritual ritual. Spiritual means religious, ritual. So we're talking Satanism, or we're talking some sort of Wiccan or witchcraft going on there, ritual. Okay, they're doing something with demons, they're doing something along those lines. If that is the case, it's hard to tell what they could have summoned up. It could have been any kind of demon. It could have been a lot of different kinds of creatures that they could have summoned up. So that's a possibility. I don't think that this really fits Slenderman, though. Because with Slenderman, he is always wearing a suit. There are legends of Slenderman that go way back to the 15th century. And one thing that is consistent about every single Slenderman story and sighting is Slenderman always has on formal clothing of the period. So back in the 15th century, he was dressed like a nobleman. Nowadays, he's wearing a suit and tie. It's always formal clothing that Slenderman has on. I've never, ever, not even once, heard of Slenderman chilling out in sweats. He's not a casual dude. He's a sharp dressed guy. He likes to look snazzy. You're not going to catch him hanging out in sweats. And they're saying it looked like he had on gray sweats. I just don't buy that. So I don't think that we're talking about Slenderman here. I think if they saw something, one option is some sort of demonic entity that they summoned up during the ritual. That's possible. The second thing, we could be talking about some sort of alien presence here. What makes me think about that is the fact that the creature is tall, it's ball-headed. The gray sweatsuit that they think it might have been wearing could either be its skin, it could be a gray alien, it could be their skin, or it could be some sort of spacesuit they're wearing. The big black eyes that take up most of his face, that matches the description of the gray aliens. So that makes sense. Now, everybody thinks of the gray aliens, they think of little tiny big-headed aliens with big black eyes. That is one type of gray alien, but there's also the tall grays, and they would fit this description. So we could be talking here about not a Slenderman sighting, but instead an alien sighting. I think that might be entirely possible. There's other clues in this article. They talk about a sense of fear. It says that they felt a strong, overwhelming sense of fear and urge to leave when the creature finally vanished into the tree line. Now, I imagine they were probably feeling fear while they were looking at it too. The urge to leave thing probably came about when it went into the tree line, because they probably thought, okay, it's not staring at us anymore, let's get the hell out of here. That makes sense to me. Now, that sense of fear and urge to leave matches several things. That does match the Slenderman story, because the Slenderman will kind of follow you around and make sure that you see him multiple times to scare the hell out of you first. It also matches the black-eyed children and the black-eyed adults. There is an overwhelming sense of fear and an urge to run away there as well in those sightings. Also matching the black-eyed adults or the black-eyed children would be the black eyes this creature has. Although they ordinarily do not have eyes that take up the majority of their face, but they do have black eyes. This is one where there are so many different possibilities that it's going to be very difficult to kind of nail it down to what It could be. Now, if they would have said that they saw lights or something like that, then that would push us more towards the aliens. If they would have said that the creatures asked to come into their camp, that would have fit more into the black-eyed children and the black-eyed adults. But apparently it didn't do anything. It just kind of came out, they saw it, and then it took off through the trees. So I don't know what the purpose would be unless it's something that they actually called up, that they summoned during their ritual. Now you might think, well, James, if they summoned this thing during their ritual, wouldn't they know what it was? Why would they think it was Slenderman? If they summoned it themselves, they would know exactly what it was. Well, good point. But it could be that they didn't know what the hell they were doing, that they were messing with something they didn't understand. Just the fact that they were getting high and doing a ritual should tell you everything you need to know. These are not experienced people. These are not people that traffic in the black arts. Because if they were somebody that did this regularly, they wouldn't be getting high before they did it. That is absolute lunacy. If you are going to be doing some sort of magical ritual, you don't want to be high and screw it up, especially when you're dealing with something like this that might be pulling something into this world, whether it's demonic or a dead person or whatever. You don't want to be in any way have your mind altered when you're doing something like that. You want to be straight up sober and clear-headed because you have to be in control. Because one thing about when you summon demonic entities or when you summon any kind of evil entity or creature to do your bidding, that requires, one, a tremendous level of skill to control what you've called up. But it also takes a great deal of concentration. You've got to be clear-headed if you want to hope to control this thing. Now, usually if it's a demonic or an evil entity of some sort, and you have called it up to make it do your bidding, you want to make sure that you maintain control the entire time and send it away when you're done with it. Because if you lose control, even for a split second, that creature, that entity is going to turn on you and destroy you. Because trust me, demons do not enjoy serving man. I guarantee you that thing is pissed and it wants to destroy you, rip you to shreds. So any lapse in concentration, any little gap of knowledge or lack of skill on your part, and you're toast. So you would not be ingesting alcohol, you would not be ingesting marijuana or any other drug before doing this if you knew what you were doing. Now, could it be possible that they went to one of these witchcraft shops? They have them all over the country where they sell crystals and rocks and spell books and incense and all that kind of stuff. That's possible. While they were in this shop, could have they bought a book that would have given them step by step the way to do some of these things? The answer to that question is also yes, they absolutely could have. I have been in these kind of shops before. I have looked at the spell books that they have. I have friends who are Wiccans, and they go to these kind of shops to buy books just like that have spells and rituals and all that kind of stuff in it, and they practice them. So it could be, and this is just a theory, but it could be that these people watched The Craft on TV too many times or something like that and thought they were witches. So they said, hey man, let's go and buy this spell book from this store. I know this cool store that has all these spell books, and we'll go out in the woods and we'll do one of these rituals. And that's exactly what they did. The only problem is they didn't understand what they were doing. They did a ritual, called something up, and whatever it was that they called up, they couldn't control it because they don't know what the hell they're doing. And it just got away and took off. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. That's a possibility as well. Now, it couldn't have been anything too crazy powerful because if they, one, I don't think they would have had either the necessary components or the necessary knowledge to pull off summoning a demon. But they could have summoned some sort of minor league spirit, some sort of familiar or some sort of evil entity that isn't that powerful and isn't that bad. That's a possibility. And if that is the case and they couldn't control it, that thing is now loose in that area because it just bailed out. That could be a possibility. So if I had to put money on what I think it was, I don't think we're talking Slenderman here. I don't buy that. Simply because the way it's dressed, it doesn't fit. Every single Slenderman sighting I've ever heard of, ever read about, is always the same. Slenderman always has on the formal attire of the time. Every time. So I don't buy that. I would put my money on either that they called something up when they were doing their ritual and lost control of it and it got away, or a tall gray alien. Those are the two options that I would go with. I think the fact that they might have called something up might be a little more plausible than the tall alien because it doesn't make any sense for the alien to just kind of pop out, look at them, and then leave and not do anything. They didn't see any kind of spaceship. They didn't see any UFO. They weren't missing time. They didn't get abducted. What was the point of it? So if I had to say this is what I think it is, I would go with they did a ritual, summoned something they couldn't control, didn't understand what they were doing, and it got away. Or they're full of crap. One of those two things I think is going on here. Because that's something I didn't mention. They could be full of crap. This could be not real at all. They could have went out there to do a ritual, got high, and thought it would be a real funny idea to claim that they saw Slenderman and get in the paper. We could be talking that too. That could be a real possibility here. It could be complete and total BS. One thing that kind of points towards it being BS for me is the fact that they are calling it Slenderman when it does not match Slenderman sightings. That's another thing that kind of puts up a red flag for me as far as it being Slenderman. I don't buy it. And another thing from the article, when they were talking about the lack of animal life in the area, how usually that area has a bunch of deer and rabbits and squirrels and all kinds of stuff like that, and it's just nothing. That also, I think, would fit for something being called up in a ritual, because animals can sense evil. They can sense spiritual activity. And a lot of times when something heavy is getting ready to happen, they bail because they can feel it. They know it's coming and they get the hell out of Dodge. So for me, that's another thing that might point towards it being some kind of evil entity that they called up. So that's my thoughts on the subject matter. I'm going to throw over to Old Boy and see what he has to say about it.
Thank you, brother. Here's my opinion, guys. So we'll talk about a couple things right now. One, why is it every time somebody says weed, somebody smokes weed, that they hallucinate? They don't. Usually weed just puts you into a relaxed mode and very hungry. I'm not saying like I'm an expert, but we've all done stuff in the past. I think that I've seen that with other stories, like that's going to change anything. Some may make you paranoid that you might hear something, but not hallucinate. That's makes no sense right there. That's why I was like, I'm already starting to question this story as it is. It's a pretty weird story anyway. But him saying it looked like Slenderman, for one, Slenderman's around 10 to 11 feet tall or taller. Plus, it has different arms. It doesn't have one arm. It has like a bunch of tentacle arms and like this. It doesn't fit Slenderman. Now, Alien, that's a different story. 7, 8 feet gray, but the grays are smaller. So it might, but there was no spaceship around, but there's also, he's talking about forest animals running around. That could have been something too. It was scared of the alien ship, or it could have just took off somewhere into another dimension. So just remember that could be a whole another idea. We weren't thinking about that, guys. It could have just went to another dimension and took off. This could be another dimensional creature. Now, I'll get to that in a minute. But here's what I think. They were saying they were doing rituals. That's a possibility. If they were doing, and Wiccan, most of the time you can do spells and stuff like that, and you can do spells on people. Usually conjuring demons, that's more of into the warlock and satanic thing. You're summoning demons or whatever, and that's what it probably happened. Is they might have summoned something they can control, and they were messing around with a Ouija board, or it doesn't talk about that, or something, or summoning to see if they could see something. And it came out, and now they said it was lurking around, and it could have been watching them for all we know. It could have been it could have been whatever they were messing around with, whatever spell they put, or summons they did. They summoned some kind of demon, and they lost control of it. Or it just came. Or here's what a lot of people don't realize: they could have been summoning a demon. Another thing came out of it and snuck out, and it was watching them. I don't know what it was up to, but maybe that's why the animals were away, because the animals do sense evil, or things are highly natured, or have a lot of power. It feared whatever this was. The animals feared it. So that's a possibility. Now, it could have been fake too. It could have been two people who got high, decided to make up some crap story that, the Slender Man, because Slender Man's a very popular story as it is right now. And, they just made the movie about 6-7 months ago. It wasn't that good, but, it's a popular subject, creepy pasta and stuff like that. Now it's got pictures and shirts and paintings and cards and all kinds of stuff you can buy. Slenderman video games. There's all kinds of stuff. We did a show about it a couple years ago about Slenderman, about the origins, where it came from, and there's a little bit of a truth to that. Because remember, all stories have some truth to it. Now, the internet part of it's all been fake and stuff like that. But what I think happened is these people were trying to see if they saw Slenderman, and whatever they conjured, it came out and could have been something different, or they're just making it up. They could be just total liars. People like to lie. You remember that. They want to get their 15 minutes of fame. Maybe the National Choir give us $20,000 for our story, because they will. That's what that could be a very big possibility on this one. Now, here's another thing you guys need to think of. What I was talking about dimensional earlier. It could have been something that was watching them. It fits that description. It could have been alien, but it just disappeared. It has a way, not only to just jump in a spaceship, guys, and fly away. That I have my opinions on that. I think that if there is aliens, technology is so beyond ours. They can just disappear, jump into their ship and is gone. Then you wouldn't see it anyway. Or they went to another dimension. It could have been a dimensional creature. I believe in other dimensions. I've always have. It could have been another dimension creature that was watching them. It could have been a demon. It could have been a demon and snuck out of the book or the spells they were doing. So it could be a bunch of possibilities there, and dimensional, that sounds right, because then it disappeared. And there was no ships, or it just went away. And it could have went away to another dimension. But I don't believe that one. I'm just throwing another option or idea out there, guys. I think it was probably a demon. I wouldn't doubt it. Or something evil entity wise, watch whatever they did, and it backfired on them, and it was watching him and was going to probably do something to him. You never know, so here's the thing, and I'm going to tell you this, guys, because when you mess around with all this stuff, there really isn't no good or white magic, and there's a light magic and or dark magic. It's the way you use it. It's just like if I use it to protect people or protect your friends or family, I'm using it for a good. There's people who use it for bad, and they use it's the left and the right hand. So when you go to more to the left, that's where you're using it for your own benefit. Evil things like, let's see, greed, jealousy, making somebody love you. That's all for something personal and evil, because you're making somebody do something against their will, or you're causing harm to people. You're getting them sick. You're doing spells of sick, making them ill. And I've seen it happen. I know people have done it, hexes and bad spells. Remember, you're going to get sevenfold. We believe that you will get karma for what you're doing. You'll get it worse. But I don't think some people see the problem is, I don't think that runs with everyone. I think there is some people who have made certain deals where that doesn't happen. They've done bad things to people. They've do spells and they don't get any repercussions from that, because I think they've made certain deals. And I believe that. And I know some people, oh, that's not happening. The Wiccan community is going to say, oh, there's, people use it for, and there is people who use it, but they're using it for their gain or some kind of power. That's a lot of things I see. When people use black magic, it's for power. They want to summon these demons for reasons. And that's what and then that's the other thing. They summon these demons because they're probably, most of the time, it's for some kind of thing for yourself, for greed, money. Can I be famous and rich? I love somebody, they won't love me, so I have to use some kind of demon to help me, or tell me the future, what's going to happen, or I can make a deal with the devil to become famous or live forever. There's always reasons why these people do this. It's not, or there's some people just want to see if they're real and think it's going to go away, and it doesn't go away. You're playing with dynamite, guys. These things exist. They really do exist. And I know people don't want to hear it. They do. I see them all the time. I deal with them. I've seen stuff happen to people. I've seen them for my own eyes. I've been attacked in my dreams. I know they exist. I have done things in my past that I regret, and I know this stuff works. And I know a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, yeah, you're watching too much TV." Believe whatever you want. I like I said, I'm not here to argue with anybody or get on anybody's side or try to make you believe something you're not. One day, I will tell you this: 95% of people always have some kind of run-in with these things, and they don't even know it. And I'll ask people, they'll get like real creeped out, and I think some of it is fear. But most people always say they have something that watches them, and then they just ignore it. And some people do, they'll ignore it. Most of the time, there is something watching you, all the time. Remember that. There is something there that goes bump in the night. That creak in your house, that sound outside, the wind blowing in, sometimes it's something else. And this is why we do this show. And I'm going a little bit, I'm using the same thing. We're not just talking about Slenderman. We're just talking about this whole issue about black magic. That's, we can't just sit here and talk about the same, thing we have been talking about for a half hour. So I'm going on to the subject. There's stuff out there when you summon things. If you don't do it exactly right, you will pay for it. You could die. Or something bad can happen to your family and your loved ones. So remember, when you mess with these things, you cannot play with them. They will help you, but you're going to have to pay with a cost. And when you do things, you can't play with them with disrespect, because you'll regret it. God, you'll regret it. And this is what happens. Stuff like this, we hear it all the time. Many stories of people just vanishing or dying, or something happens to them after. I watched this thing. It was a documentary about this house. It was really haunted, and these people were like, all this stuff was happening. It was even happening outside when they left. It happened. What was it? It was happening in front of social workers in the hospital, and everybody involved in that. I think it was Hell. It was the story of Hell House before what's his name bought Zach Baggins bought it. I saw the real story of this before he got involved in it, and I think that's where I think that's some of it. It was in the one in St. Louis, but everybody who had anything to do with that case before Zach Baggins bought the house and made it public, something bad happened to them. They died, got sick, they went crazy. There's stuff you do not mess with. Now, I guarantee these people, even though maybe they might be lying, but I'll tell you this, they'll pay for that. Something will come after them because they lied about it. So I don't think they probably, there is a chance. I'm going to say there is a possibility they did lie about this story. That is 100% chance of that. I'm going to say maybe there's a 30-40% of chance on this one. The other chance I think of this was something, it was not, maybe a 2%, maybe a percent chance it was Slenderman, but I don't think it is. I won't even say that. I don't think this was Slenderman at all. That's one thing I will say right now. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Slenderman. Alien, maybe 10%, but I'm pretty sure this was a demon. I'm about 60% sure, maybe 70. And they messed around like a lot of people do. Like a lot of people want to go in graveyards, like the stuff we do, and they want to play around and call out demons and cuss. I do. And you know what? I have things I can protect myself with, but I still pay for it. I still pay for it to this day for what I've done. And I always will. But I've come to accept that. When you do the stuff that me and James Hershey do, James Hershey is a Christian, loves God, but he knows the repercussions of messing with these things. It's just like I do. There is a repercussion if you mess, and we do not. One thing I will tell you right now, James Hershey doesn't take these things as jokes. Yeah, he might say something to get him going and rile it up, but he does not take these things as a joke. He takes it seriously. He believes they are evil. Some of them are. Majority of them are. And he's right. But he doesn't take them for granted. He respects them, even though he hates them pretty much. But he still respects they're there. And that's his belief. He believes in God, but he believes there's the other side. The devil exists. He believes it. And he believes that it's bad. And that's what and he's right on a lot of it. But some people think this is a joke. And these people sounded like that they took this for a joke. I'm going to get famous and say Slenderman. And it probably was. But what I really believe, it was probably something conjured up from their books. Wiccan, not really. So it might have been paid. You know, I don't know. Maybe they did. There is spirits you can conjure. It's not really smart. Because like I said, you're going to pay for it sevenfold. And that's why I try to tell people please read on what you do before you do it. I know people are going to do this still. They're going to believe that they can get some kind of power. If that's the way you want to go, please make sure you make the right decisions and the right calls when you do this. I'm not telling you to go advocating to do it, but I know people are going to do it. There's nothing we can tell you to do. There's people who's just going to do what they're going to do. Please know what you're doing, though, so we don't have to talk about you one day on this show. That something bad happened to you. That we're reading this story right now to somebody who died. Because they didn't die. So one day that we don't have to do a show like how we do Tales from the Abyss and do about ghosts and demons that we and shadow people, that we had to save your soul from something. That's why. This is why we do the show, to help people. Because really, we believe a lot of this stuff exists. They believed it before the old world believed this stuff. They had all kinds of stuff out there. And just people forgot because of movies, TV, reality. You know, reality is, I think there's some of this stuff existed and it got killed, or it got rushed out of here. It went somewhere and it hid. And we just forgot about it. Or we just don't want to know it was there. We have forgotten. And these things are coming back because they're going to prove that we should never have disrespected them. A lot of this stuff is coming back because we have lost focus of what we are, and we don't care. And we don't have any respect for anything anymore. So now all this stuff is happening. Look what's going on in the world now. That's all I'll say. 2020 is not going to been the best year for anybody. So that's all I'm saying. And what I'm thinking is, maybe there's so many people are doing so many things. This is what the repercussions are from. You have people who are messing with ghosts every day, or trying to summon demons, or go find demons to make money off of it on TV, and stuff like this with the Slenderman stuff. Remember, guys, you have so many people believing in things. Eventually, sometimes it becomes true. And what I think is happening, we're seeing the repercussions of this stuff. It's getting worse and worse and worse, and everything is coming true. When you mess with the lion, you're going to get the claws, and we are. So there you go, James. It's about the best way I could put it, brother.
One thing that I need to make absolutely crystal clear to everyone listening: magic is real. Now, I know a lot of you right now are going, get out of here. It's real. Okay? I don't understand why people don't believe this. You have a lot of people that, like me, are Christians and believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of God, that he died on the cross for our sins so that we could be saved. Okay? You're with me there. The Bible talks about magic, about fortune telling, about sorcerers, dozens and dozens and dozens of times. And not just in a passing way. Deuteronomy 18, verses 9 through 12 says, when you come into the land that the Lord your God is giving you, you shall not learn to follow the abominable practices of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone who burns his son or his daughter as an offering, human sacrifice, anyone who practices divination or tells fortunes. That's your psychics, your fortune tellers, those kind of people, or interprets omens. That's also the people in the old pagan religions that used to throw bones to interpret omens of the future. Or a sorcerer, or a charmer, or a medium, or a necromancer. You got magic, you've got spells, you've got reanimating and controlling the dead, or one who inquires of the dead. That's what we're talking about here also, is calling up the spirit of a dead person in order to communicate and get information, or to get them to do things for you. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord your God is driving them out before you. The Bible has literally dozens of different verses like that. Leviticus 19:31, do not turn to mediums or necromancers. Do not seek them out, and so make yourselves unclean by them. I am the Lord your God. Why would the Bible over and over and over again tell you not to mess with these people? Don't do these things. if they weren't real. God is warning you. Now, this is all in, well, the majority of it is in the Old Testament. It's in the Jewish law. Okay, but we've got Revelations, we've got First John, we've got books in the New Testament that talk also about magic, about necromancy, about sorcery, about fortune telling. Why would the Bible continually warn you about that if it was not real? If you are a Christian, a believer in God, and you believe that the Bible is the Word of God, how can you not believe something that it literally over 20 times tells you to watch out for? God is telling you this is real over and over and over again in verse after verse. And literally, I could spend another hour reading every single time the Bible talks about it. I mean, you've got Leviticus 19:31, Revelation 21:8, 1 John 4:1, 2 Kings 21:6, Isaiah 8:19, Acts 19:19, Exodus 22:18, Deuteronomy 18 verses 10 through 12, Acts chapter 8 verses 9 through 13. You've got Colossians 2:8, you've got Ezekiel 13:20, you've got Deuteronomy 18:9 through 14, you've got Leviticus 19:26, Leviticus 20:27, Deuteronomy 18:10, Galatians 5:19 through 21, over and over, and I could keep going. There's several places in Leviticus, several places in Isaiah, even in Micah, Ezekiel. All of these books contain this, where it tells you. In Ezekiel 13:18, and say, thus saith the Lord God, woe to the women who sew magic bands upon all risk, and make veils for the heads of persons of every stature, in the hunt for souls. Will you hunt down souls belonging to my people and keep your own souls alive? Why would they continually talk about magic if it wasn't real? That's something that everybody needs to hear. And I'm speaking especially to my Christian brothers and sisters that listen. Don't laugh at this. This is not funny. This is not something that is make-believe. Okay, the people that practice magic and sorcery and those kind of things, they're not out in the woods pretending. Now, you do have pretenders. You do have people that don't know what the hell they're talking about and don't know what they're doing, and they just like the idea of being a pagan or a Wiccan or whatever, and they're not actually anything. They can't do anything. They don't have any power. They don't know any real magic. They're just posers. You have that. You have a lot of that. But you also have people that can summon demons, that can summon evil entities to do their bidding. You have actual necromancers alive today that can reanimate and control the dead through magic. These things are real. I have seen some of these things with my own eyes. Demons are real. I have faced demons myself. I know they are real. And they are more powerful than you can ever imagine. They could shred you to pieces in a blink of an eye. You are absolutely nothing compared to their power. The only way that we have a chance in hell of helping people when they are being attacked by demons is through the power of Jesus Christ. That is what the demon respects. That is what the demon fears, not us. These things are real. The Bible talks about them. The Bible talks about giants in Genesis 6. The Bible talks about vampires. The Bible talks about all of the old gods. If you are a believer, you got to believe. You can't say, well, I believe in God, I believe Jesus died for my sins, but I don't believe all this other stuff. I don't believe that David took a slingshot and hit a giant named Goliath between the eyes with a rock and killed him and cut off his head and held it up for everybody to see. I don't believe that happened. I don't believe that the world was flooded. Well, science tells you the world was flooded. If the Bible states that it's true, it's true. If it's not true, then that means God's not true. And if you believe in God, then you have to believe in God's word. If God is telling you that this stuff exists and to be careful and to watch out for it, you'd be wise to listen. Now, people are going to make their own choices in life. And not everybody is going to like the choices that you make in your life. And that's just the bottom line. I make no secrets about where my allegiances lie. I am a child of God. I am saved by the blood of Jesus Christ. I sincerely hope and pray that all of you are either saved or get saved before you die. I sincerely hope and pray, and old boy can attest to this, because I have spent many, many phone calls late at night, 4 or 5 hours, preaching to him about the Bible and going over all this stuff again and again with him, trying desperately to save his soul. But old boy has chosen his path. I hope that in the future he comes back around, but that's not up to me. That's up to him. Either way he goes, I love that man. He is a good man. I just don't want to see him burn. And I don't want to see any of you have to burn. But you've got to make your own choice in life. But what I'm telling you is magic is 100% real. And old boy said it himself. There are repercussions to this. And some of what we're seeing in the world going on that's so bad might be repercussions of this. Because people are not taking this stuff seriously. They're messing with things they don't understand, and they don't realize that a lot of these things are actually real. They do exist. And they are more dangerous than you could ever imagine. And the majority of these things, especially when you're talking demonic and other evil entities, they hate you. They hate you and they want to kill you. They want to destroy you in any way they can. That's truth. It's not popular. And a lot of people will hear this and laugh. And that's okay. Because I told you the truth. Whether you choose to believe that truth or not is up to you. But I'm telling you beyond a shadow of a doubt, magic is real. It exists. Demons are real. They exist. I have seen both. There are evil entities out there who want to hurt you. That is true. They can be summoned up through rituals. That is also true. God tells you it's true because he tells you to watch out for it. He speaks about necromancy, which is one of the darkest arts there is. That is reanimating and controlling a corpse. Taking a dead body, bringing it back to life through magic, and making it do your bidding. That is real. It's not common. That's not something that just everybody can go down and buy a book and do. Necromancy is one of the most difficult and most dangerous of the dark arts. And very few people alive today can actually pull it off. Because it takes a level of skill, a level of power, and a level of concentration that not many people will ever attain. But it is not make-believe. And if you think it is, you are doing yourself a disservice. Because if you don't believe that any of this stuff exists, how in the world will you ever be able to protect yourself from it if you need to? That's my thoughts on it. So with that being said, I'm going to throw it back over to old boy and let him do his final sum up and give his shout outs.
Thank you, brother. Just remember, like we said, we don't tell you this. You could believe whatever you want, and I know people are going to believe whatever they're going to believe. And like James said, we've had hours discussion, and I've made my opinion to him to what I think is going to happen. But like I said, at least he tries because he cares. Doesn't mean we always are going to admit to agree to everything, but at least he tries. So we're trying to help you guys. If you whatever you believe, just remember this simple thing: there's a cost to everything, and stuff will always come back on you. If you're doing it for bad reasons and evil reasons, yeah, you might get millions of dollars. You might, but in a couple of years it'll go away. Something will take it from you, or somebody will die that you love, or numerous people will die. You'll die because. But in the end, if you die, then that's less than somebody you love dying. That's a worse hell, I believe. People you really love, like your wife or your kids, your other families, best friends. I think that's worse because then you got to live with that. Because dying after you're dead. But if you're alive and people that you love are not there, I think that's worse. And that's just my opinion. But I want to thank everybody on ParaX Radio. Thank you for listening to us. I love you guys. Listen to us at 9 o'clock Pacific, 12 Eastern Time on Sunday, technically Monday night in the East Coast. If you're in another country, I think it's Tuesday night, Tuesday morning. I don't know, Tuesday afternoon. I'm glad you guys love our show. I'm glad you listen to us. Thank you guys. We might be doing a show probably in a couple weeks on ParaX, so we'll let you guys know more in the next week. So we'll let you know that. And I want to thank whoever told the guy who wanted us to be on his show that they have us on there, because one of his listeners told him to listen to have us on their show, because we know a lot of stuff, guys, and this is why we do it. But thank you to whoever that guy was, if he's listening to our show. And and if you want anything from the merchandise store, he'll let you guys know where to go and what to get. So that being said, I hope everybody has a good night. Misfits, sugar ladies, demon hunters, and monster lovers, I love you and blessed be, and have a good night.
The YouTube channel is youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. That's where all of the replays of Staring into the Abyss go. That's where all the episodes of Tales from the Abyss. There's other videos there. I do gameplay videos there as well because I like doing that kind of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff there for you. It's 100% free, so go and check it out and subscribe to the channel if you want to. That would be awesome. And just enjoy it. That's why we put it there for you. 100% free for you. The merchandise store is teespring.com/stores/staring into the abyss. That's where all the merch is. It is not 100% free. The merch costs you money. But we try to make it as little bit of money as possible. We don't really make much of anything off of it because I put the prices as low as I can and still be able to pay for it and everything. If you're into merchandise and you want like a staring shirt or a coffee mug or a poster or whatever, there's all kinds of stuff there. I've done tons of different designs. There's the staring eye logo, which is what I put up for every show that we do. There's that logo, and then there's a bunch of other stuff that we've done, different horror designs and paranormal designs that is on shirts and posters and all kinds of stuff. So if you're into that kind of thing, that's where you can find it. I just want to thank everybody for listening. Thank you for all the support that you've given us over the years. And I want to say one more thing about the YouTube channel really quickly, because I had somebody comment that they weren't going to listen anymore because of the ads. I have zero control over what ads they play, when they play them, all that kind of stuff. I have no control over that. That's YouTube's thing. A lot of our shows are not monetized on YouTube because of the subject matter that we talk about. It's not advertiser friendly. The ones that YouTube deem to be advertiser friendly, They do whatever they do with it. I have no control over that. So I just wanted to clear that up. It's not me that is shoving ads at you. That's YouTube doing that. That's part of it. So if you don't want to watch the ad, just skip it. It's that simple. There's a button there. Just hit skip and you don't have to watch it. But don't give up watching the show or listening to the show just because YouTube is putting ads up. That's silly. But I just wanted to clear that up so that you guys didn't think that I'm slamming a ton of ads on there, because I'm not. I have absolutely no control over what YouTube does with that. So with that being said, I want to once again thank you all for listening and for all the support that you give us. And until I speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do I. Bye-bye.